You are most welcome to another exciting review of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And today we're going to be reviewing chapter 5 of part 3, which is titled The Secret of Socrates. All right. So, anytime you're talking with people, this is the secret. Anytime you're talking with people, don't begin by discussing the things you know or the points that make you or your line of thoughts differ from them. That is, don't focus on your points of disagreement. Focus on your point of common interest. Focus on your point of agreement where both of you agree, right? And keep on emphasizing on that. Keep on emphasizing on the things that both of you agree on. And even when you are emphasizing it and it gets to the point where, oh, the disagreement is touched or anything, let the person know that even in the areas where you disagree, it is only through the methods that you disagree. Always talk as though, yeah, we are talking about the same thing, but maybe in different ways. Let the person know that. That is the secret of the Socrates, right? So before you say anything to anybody, plan what you want to say. Plan the questions that you want to ask that will make them to say yes, yes, at least double yeses to you. Because naturally, as human beings, when we say yes at first, then we want to continue to say yes. We want to hold on to that our first response. Even if along the line we discover that, oh, it was a mistake to have said yes in the first place. But because we are full of ego, because we are full of pride, because we don't want to be seen as weak, right? We want to hold on to that initial yes that we have said. So it is always important to plan your conversation very well with somebody, especially some difficult conversations, right? Or people that you are not very familiar with. And you know that if you blow up that chance, you may not easily get it back, right? So that is the secret to use. It is very, very important that you start your conversation by making the other person agree with you. So ask them questions. It is one skill that you have to develop. Yes, because we are very, very psychological as human beings. That's first response that you give. There is a way you just want to keep on defending it, right? That is why you must make sure that somebody agrees with you from the onset, because once they say no, everything within them just wants them to continue to say no. So make them to say yes right from the onset. Use questions that will get their attention, that will make them to agree with you. This is a simple technique. Unfortunately, not many people practice it. Unfortunately, it is just as if people derive their sense of importance by countering others, by disagreeing with others, maybe to make them feel more knowledgeable or more logical or smarter or anything like that, right? But naturally, we find a lot of people in our world today who derive pleasure when they counter what you say. Everybody wants to prove a point, even when they can see clearly that there is sense in what you're saying. They want to conjure up something that will just counter what you're saying in one way or the other, right? It could be a student, it could be your customer, it could be your husband, your wife, your child. When it comes to some important discussions, you really want them to agree with you. You want them to answer in the affirmative, right? The use of this yes, yes technique enables James Eberson, who was a teller at a Greenwich savings bank, to win over a prospective customer who would have been lost. So this customer came into the bank and they gave him a form to fill out. The customer filled out some of the information willingly and left out some information, refused to fill some, right? Thankfully, James had learned about this principle of human relations. He had learned the secret. So if it were to be his former self and his former approach in handling cases like this, he would have told the customer that, see, if you don't fill out this remaining information, we cannot open your account for you. There is nothing we can do. You cannot do transaction with us until you fill out all of these. You know, all those rules and regulations that would dish out to people. But no, he decided to take another route, having learned about some of the principles we are learning in this book. And so he thought of it as, you must get the customer to say yes, yes, from the onset. And so he approached the customer. I said, well, you know what? This information that you have refused to fill is not really necessary. right? However, do you know that if you fill out this information, no, he said, however, suppose you have money in your bank account and then it happens that you die, wouldn't you like to have the bank transfer it to your next of kin? And of course, according to law, and of course, the customer was like, yes, yes, yes. And he said, okay. Now, don't you think that it would be a good idea to give us the name of your next of kin, so that in the event of your death, we'll be able to transfer money to this next of kin. We'll be able to carry out your wish without error or delay. Again, the customer answered in the affirmative, yes, yes, of course. And that was it. The attitude of this man changed, and he willingly filled the form, gave the information that he had refused to give before then, right? Why did he do that? Because James made him to see that the information they were requesting was not really for the sake of the bank. It was not for the benefit of the bank. It was for the benefit of this man. So if you're a salesperson, I think this is a very good strategy that you should learn. Make your clients see that whatever you are selling to them is for their own good, is for their own benefit. So always look for those perfect sentences or near perfect sentences, questions that you can use to start off your conversation. So many times salespeople lose customers because they just don't have the right word. There is a young man here who said he became a regular customer at a store. He needed something, a bowl, and then he called this store where he used to rent it previously, and they answered him straight up to say, oh, no, we don't have bowls for rent, right? And then he decided to call another store. For the first time, he called the store, and a gentleman picked up the call. He answered in a very low tone, and this guy, maybe he had learnt this secret before then, and the first thing he did was to ask him questions to say, oh, you know, won't you like to save money? And the man was like, oh, yes, yes, yes. Oh, I'm sure that you'd have rented this bowl before a long time ago, right? And it must have cost you like $25 or $30 to rent. The man was like, yes, yes, yes. Okay, what if I told you that you can actually buy a new one, you know, at $34 something, you know, and a few cents? That means you're just paying like $4.95, 95 cents more. And that was it. He told this man to come over. So this man bought a complete bowl for $34.95. And he even went to the shop, bought some extra things that he did not plan to buy before. Strategy. One person lost this customer, another person gained this customer, made him a loyal customer. That is the way it is. If you are into business, you should learn the secrets. Never argue with your customer. Never argue with them. It is of no point, right? Just make them see reasons why they should buy. Talk in terms of their interest. We've learned this before. Whoever you're talking to, it doesn't matter whether you're a salesperson or not. It wins in every aspect of life. The secret, right? Talk in terms of the interest of the other person. Focus on what the other person is saying, not what you are saying. Let the other person know that, oh, even though it seems as if they disagree with you, that there's really no point for disagreement because you are saying the same thing in a different way. You agree with their point of view, like a guy who worked with a company, and then his predecessor had tried to win over a customer, to sell to a customer for 10 years to no avail. Called this customer for a good 10 years. Imagine pursuing a customer for 10 years, and the customer still did not buy from them. When he took over, he pursued the same customer for 3 years, calling the customer, doing everything to make sure this customer buys, to no avail. But the customer eventually bought from him. And when this customer eventually bought a few, I think they were into vehicles. When this customer eventually bought a few, they were hoping that, oh, now that we have sold a few, this customer would buy like several hundred more. But the customer complained that, oh, this car is too hot and things like that. And I asked him some strategic questions to make the customer say yes, yes. And eventually the customer bought more. Right. The guy said, it took me years and cost me countless thousands of dollars in lost business before I finally learned that it doesn't pay to argue. That it is much more profitable and much more interesting to look at things from the other person's viewpoint and try to get that person saying yes, yes, right. Eddie Snow, who sponsors our courses in Oakland, California, tells how he became a good customer of the shop because the proprietor gave him got him to say yes, yes, right? I've told that story. So don't forget, the Socrates, the gadfly of Athens, was one of the greatest philosophers the world has ever known. He did something that only a handful of men in all history have been able to do. He sharply changed the whole course of human thought. And now, 24 centuries after his death, he is honored as one of the wisest persuaders who ever influenced this wrangling world. You must know how to persuade people. Learn to get them to say yes, yes, not just one yes, but two, right, at the start of your conversation. That will change the mood. That will keep them in the affirmative, because once they start by saying no, once they start by getting defensive, by arguing with you, it is most likely that you lose that conversation or that argument with them, right? It is very, very tough. So what is the secret of the Socrates or his method? He would never told people that they were wrong. Never. He was too adroit for that. His whole technique, now called the Socratic method, was based upon getting a yes, yes response. He would ask questions that he knew that his opponents would agree with. And he kept on winning, winning and winning for so many years. He kept on asking questions until finally, without realizing it, willingly, the person who is ready to oppose you will just say yes, 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 yes to you, right? So the next time you are tempted to tell someone he or she is wrong, remember old Socrates and ask a gentle question. A question that will get a yes, yes response. There is a Chinese proverb that says, "He who treads softly goes far." Yesterday we learned that you can never get anything from anybody through force, fears, or fury. Right? It is gentle words that will help them to give you whatever you want to get from them willingly. Right? Don't forget this Chinese proverb. He who treads softly goes far. So principle 5 says, get the other person saying yes, yes immediately, right from the onset. Thank you so much. That'll be all for tonight's review. Don't forget to like this video, share your comments with me, and please subscribe to this channel in case you are yet to subscribe. I remain Olade Agbaje, also known as First Lady. And on this channel, I inspire you to live intentionally. I'll come your way again tomorrow as we review chapter 6 of part 3, which says the safety valve in handling complaints. Come and learn how to handle complaints. Until then, be intentional. Bye. You're welcome.